Welcome to Dynamos Dozen, the podcast that we bring you each and every single week, where we talk about whatever may be on our minds, from pro wrestling, sports, entertainment, music, movies, muesli, fresh socks and jocks, and everything in between. Never forgetting the talc. Welcome back, one and all you loyal live listeners. Do you see what I did there? The three L's, loyal live listeners. Two Dynamos Dozen. With me, your host, as always, Ian the Dynamo Kelly, joined by my one and only sidekick, best pal, and everything in between, the shopkeeper, Niall Hogan, your favorite podcast host, and mine. Welcome to the show, my brother. Here we are, another week.
All good. Another week and plenty to discuss and plenty to talk about, plenty of opinion, fact, and fantasy booking, as they say.
Maybe a little bit of fiction too.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose we start the show. It's a certain man's anniversary today, so we should mark that. The man himself, Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, 1 year
Yes.
dead today. Very sad to see him go. But yeah, hard work pays off, dreams come true, bad times don't last. But as long as we're doing a podcast like this, bad guys do.
100%.
Um,
Yeah, people will remember the quite emotional show that we did this time last year after that.
Absolutely.
So it's
Yeah.
crazy how quick a year passes. But yeah, rest in
Mm,
peace, Scott Hall, the bad
yeah,
guy.
absolutely. So I thought we'd start the show with that. Obviously, it's a big one today on his
Just to
anniversary.
lighten the mood, of course, you know.
Mm. We like to bring it down before we bring it up. That's what
Okay.
good performers do, don't they?
If, un-
Tara's
if
in.
just before we read Dara's comment, just so before any of you lads know, the way we structure this show now is that Niall likes to keep it raw, no pun intended, and likes to he doesn't even liaise with me on these ones anymore. It's just he brings them cold, and that's what makes for a better show as well. We're not the Hollywood bullshit, you know.
Instant reaction, no director.
Exactly. None
Instant
of this
reaction.
Hollywood prompters with some little jabroni in the corner telling you to applaud and telling you what to reply and telling you how to feel. Raw emotion. That's what we like to serve up. Now over to you, Niall. What does Dara have to
Absolutely.
say today?
Stars in the comments. I'll be looking forward to watching Finn versus Edge at WrestleMania. Yeah, big news on that will come in our WrestleMania update. And of course, my main man Sean, ECW Sean. How do fellas? Looking forward to an acceptable show. An acceptable show.
I think he
And
means exceptional. I think
yeah, an acceptable show. No, I'd say he means acceptable. And 1 minute late, lads, not good enough.
fair
Hey,
enough. Well, I'll tell you what then, Sean. 1 minute late is not good enough. But if you meant exceptional and you wrote acceptable, then that's not good enough either. So we're
yeah.
we're, we're even.
The funny thing about this is some people would say we're a day early.
Yeah, 24 hours, bitch. How's that?
Yeah,
How's that?
24 hours
Because
early. So,
now let's be honest. Let's be honest about this one. That there is a reason that we're a day earlier. And if any of you guys and gals out there know, cheap plug on the way. Before I give the cheap plug to you though, do be sure to like and subscribe and smash the bell notification on this here pod. It's right there in front of you. It literally takes, I would say, a millisecond to do. And the
but
numbers
not
have
for
grown.
but not for everyone. But not for everyone.
Not for
Some
everyone.
people
Not
take a
for
little bit
everyone.
longer.
Yeah, yeah. That goes to some of you jabronis that have been following us for years. You're never in the comments, so we're hope to see a little bit more. Hope to see a little bit more interaction from some of the old faithful. I'm sure that will build over time. But yes, do make sure you like and subscribe. Follow us on our socials. We always put it up on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and all as well. So you have the link and you're ready to go. You always get that nice little reminder to know that you're going to see the Dynamo and the shopkeeper. But yeah, no, 100%. The support has actually been great. Last week was the first, I would say, the first show where we had the most interaction. So that was incredible. Love getting the lads involved, lads and ladies involved. And yeah, 100% the views went up again as well. And yeah, long may it continue. But there's a reason that the shopkeeper wanted to do this 24 hours early, because three is a magic number. And tomorrow, his beloved Liverpool have to come back from basically 3 goals down, to remain in a competition that they have won many times in the Champions League. So the upper tier. Over to you, Noel. If there's football fans here that don't know at this stage what else you do, then let them know.
Absolutely. A lot of my week these days is taking up podcasting, so sometimes I have to move little things around to accommodate everything. But yeah,
yes.
Tomorrow could be amazing, or it could be an absolute disaster fest. So let's see what happens. I did a preview on the upper tier earlier, so it's up there. And I also had a lot to say about stupid fucking quotes coming out from players and our manager. And I bigged up John Aldridge as well on some things he's been coming out with as well. He's the realest of Liverpool fans when he's out there talking in the press. Really appreciate all those.
Not a fan of him now myself. He tends to go in on here, but yeah, no, I like John Aldridge. How can you not? Yeah, Fox in the box,
straight shooter.
But look, but like a good true friend, I decided to, facilitate that for you as well, and move it 24 hours backwards for you, because look, I know how you feel. We're true, but I know how you feel this season is what I'm saying. It's
horrible.
I won't be rooting for you. I gotta say.
Is that for fear of drawing us in the quarterfinals if we get through?
Pretty much. And also, yeah, because if you have a hell of a comeback like that, then absolutely I don't want to play you. But also, if anyone ever wants to see a real Noel rant, just go and check the Shankly sessions out. They are worth their weight in gold.
Tonight was a heck of a rant. Yeah, probably 100%. One of my best ones. Anyway, let's get on with the show here. Poker's
Ted is in the comments.
Ted is in. WWE 2K23 hype. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Baz was in with me today in the shop. He collected his copy, the deluxe edition or whatever it is. Seen it on the front, gold wrap, all the usual stuff. I haven't played a wrestling game in God knows how long now. Dare I say, I nearly have to go back to PS1 or PS2. I'd say
we bought. You know what? We bought one, myself and the good lady, during lockdown, because we were just buying games like on the PlayStation Network just to try and keep ourselves entertained. And I think we had a match for about 2 minutes, and I was like, "Oh, good Lord, I don't know what I'm doing here." I just I didn't lose.
You don't have enough fingers. You don't have enough fingers to play these games these days. That's the problem. So
just put me in there and let me actually do what my brain knows with my body, not me fucking fingers.
All I want is kick, punch, and pin. That's all I want. Maybe a clothesline is more enough. Like that old Royal Rumble game, remember? Really cool.
Do you remember? Yeah, I'm gonna beat you with my $1 million dream. Do you remember that?
They're the ones I loved. Yeah, I love the old school ones. I can't dedicate myself to games anymore. I just don't simply. There isn't enough hours in the week.
No.
Anyway, let's get on to the road to WrestleMania 39. We got 2 more matches this week announced. Kind of. We know that Drew was going to face Sheamus on Friday on SmackDown, to determine who's going to face Gunther. But I see this becoming a triple threat. That's what everything is saying out there. So kind of, I think that's the way it's going to go. And of course, last night on Raw, it was announced Edge challenged Finn Balor to a Hell in a Cell match at WrestleMania. Probably the one I'm looking forward to the most now on the card, I would say.
I told you.
I haven't fully come around yet.
You will.
But still plenty to be announced. As you see, we've only got 8 matches on a host, so still plenty to do. Interesting story coming out from Cena today. I don't know if you've seen it in relation to the Theory match. He turned around and he said that Austin Theory wasn't his choice for his WrestleMania match. He said, but like any good employee, I don't demand anything. I show up and I do as the company asks, and I put on as best a performance as I can. I never request anyone or decide what way it's going to go. So, yeah, pretty cool, though. Interesting comments from him. But, yeah, it's starting to shape up a little bit.
That's Cena being a pro, though, as well, by keeping the little bit of kayfabe in there. I didn't request this from this guy. For all we know, Cena was more than happy to do that. But in a world where we're getting too much inside information, I like what Cena's doing there. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You know what I mean?
Well, he said as well, he commented on last week's promo as well, and he said that it was from the heart, that he absolutely meant it.
Oh yeah, but there you go. It is because Cena, he did mean it. He's one of the goats.
So we'll talk a little bit about. We've had 2 announcements for the Hall of Fame.
We have.
So we have another graphic.
One
for
we
that
failed to mention last week. You had Batista on last week, and I had a lot of people text me saying that.
Yeah, well, see, Ray didn't come out on the after the fact, but we know Batista's going in there. Listen,
But we had it on our show, and we didn't speak
never
about
mentioned
it. I got bitten by that one.
I thought people would have been happy.
Well, I got bitten by it, but it's okay. It's all right.
And when he's announced, we may not mention it either. Who knows?
We might not know.
But these are the 2 that have been announced. Of course, Rey Mysterio, no surprise at all, definitely has a seat there in the Hall of Fame, well earned. And dare I say, it's an interesting one with Rey Mysterio. He's requested the inductee to be Conan, which is a great choice.
Nice.
But probably wouldn't have gone down well in the office, obviously. Should be interesting. But this is an interesting one insofar as I would see Rey Mysterio as a headliner for the Hall of Fame, not necessarily the first announcement.
Me too. I was just going to say there, though, just to address the elephant in the room there, and probably think what most fellas are probably thinking here. One should always wear a mask, and the other one should never wear a mask. Just saying.
Absolutely.
Pending
on the mask.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you know what I mean.
And also they announced, I think Ric Flair announced as well on the bump as well that I think it's Stacy Keibler is going in as well. So they're your first 2 inductees into the Hall of Fame, starting to take shape. Not too long to go now, just over 2 weeks or so.
I agree with you, though. I think Ray is absolutely a headliner. I mean, I think it's a crime that he wouldn't be headlining that, especially. I'll be honest with you, if Batista's headlining this ahead of Rey Mysterio, I've got a major MFing issue with that. See, YouTube, I've learned. That would be a load of bollocks. And for me personally, I think Rey Mysterio is one of the greatest of all time. I don't think I'm alone in that. But yeah, good to see. I suppose Stacey has to go in, and just they big part of all of our our certain material back in the day.
Big part of our maturity.
She's been in many people's favorite banks. Put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are first 2 into the Hall of Fame. Again, we'll continue the graphic as it unfolds. Let's say. Let's get into some news topics. I like to bring it down again, as you know. We like to bring these matches down and then bring them back up. So we're going to start off with a little bit of bad news there during the week. Aaron Anderson took to Twitter today, not today, but it would have been yesterday, to announce the sad news that his oldest son Barrett had died. He wrote, "Last night, my family suffered a loss that should never be felt by any parent. We've often spoke about it. Parents should never bury their kids. Our older son Barrett passed away. Barrett was just 37. But they didn't disclose the nature of his son's death, obviously. But our thoughts
happening a bit too much lately, isn't it?
Yeah, it seems to be. Yeah, it seems to be. Of course, we spoke about Kevin Nash's as well and stuff like that and all. Yeah. And but we don't know what the cause of death is or anything like that. So all we can say is our thoughts and prayers go out to Aaron and the family and everyone else. Obviously, very sad. I can't imagine what it's like to lose a child. I would be absolutely distraught. Paul Heyman was on the Faction 919 podcast, and he was discussing the whole switch from Brock Lesnar to Roman Reigns and how it went down and stuff like that. And Heyman being the absolute politician that he is, he says he kind of put it out in a way that was kind of nearly a little bit storyline and kayfabe as well. He says when I finished up with Brock, he says Brock just headed off and left the WWE. So it was natural that I would move over to Roman Reigns, who at the time needed a manager. And it was that was really the crux of the story. And then he sort of was asked about, when Brock came back and stuff like that, and he kind of alluded to the fact he was quite happy where he was for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Paul never too far away from the goal generally, so, but it was an interesting discussion when he was asked about it. WWE Hall of Famer Teddy Long is among those who have said the winding storyline, which has been marked with intense betrayal and passionate realignments, reminds him of the types of all-encompassing storylines that trademarked the promotion's famous Attitude Era. He was talking about the bloodline and the storyline with Sami Zayn and stuff like that had shades of the Attitude Era of it, and that's why I think people bought into it so much and stuff like that. Great show from Teddy Long in describing it and stuff like that. Really, really cool. And of course,
I'd go a step further. I think it's even bigger than that. I think it's actually shades of the old storylines of the 80s and 90s WWE, where you
kind of had a bit of every generation in it, didn't it? Had a bit of everything in it. Stuff like that. So that's why it appealed to such a large demographic.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like we all remember the Savage Hogan feud, like, and how long that lasted, and then even the Hogan Warrior deal, where you didn't really see much of either guy face to face, other than like contract talks and Jack Tunney being the mediator in between it. So yeah, it did. It had a bit of everything in it, and I think that's kudos to A, the talent involved, but B, to to Hunter and the likes of Pritchard and stuff like that. And Pritchard had his hands in a lot of that old school stuff. So it's not often you always hear Pritchard getting praised, but I certainly think he should be, because it was he had a big hand in that. So absolute kudos to everyone involved.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a huge risk that they took at the time as well, because God knows they weren't sure whether it was going to work out or not. Ted, back in the comments, I bought 2K22 as GM mode was back, and it's one of my favorite modes ever, and they've improved it for 2K23, but not sure it's worth the money for me at the moment.
Let us know what GM mode is, lads. That sounds like a bit of crack now. If
general manager mode.
Oh no, I know, because I play GM mode on all the American sports games. Like, so if you're just able to be the promoter and promote the shows and stuff like that, and the ratings and stuff like that, I'd be interested in that now.
Yeah, and Ted is saying he wants Omos out of the match and stick Lashley in there. I don't know. We're going to talk about Brock later. I have a lot of views on Brock and stuff like that at the moment. And then, what's the crack, fellas? How are you? Good to see you in there, man. Welcome to the show. And Ted's back in. The storyline worked so well because everybody played their part and wasn't trying to one-up each other to gain more popularity.
Perfect.
There was a little bit of one-upmanship from Sammy at times, but it was trying more to get the boys to break character and stuff like that. So it was
I think that was Sammy doing his best Owen Hart impression, tried to get the boys to pop. More so than one-upmanship.
Absolutely. Lita's been talking this week about becoming a women's tag champ with Becky, and she's saying she wants to help elevate the WWE women's tag division. She now represents as champion with Becky. This was a big comment from Lita. Obviously, when she speaks, it carries a bit of weight, obviously, from her own career and stuff like that. But it was an interesting one as well, because if you think about the tag titles, that became a huge problem in terms of Sasha Banks exiting the company, and Naomi as well. They felt they were, as tag team champions, they were kind of being a little bit disrespected and stuff like that and all. And that the booking and the creative side of the women's tag division had fallen way behind the booking at the higher level for the women's division, which was a fair point at the time. But it's nice to see Lita coming out there and trying to raise that bit of credibility in the women's tag division. We're big fans of tag team wrestling, of course. So yeah, great to hear that. Austin Theory has been crediting. He was talking on Inside the Ropes this week, and he credits a lot of his success so far to Finn Balor. He said Finn was brilliant in the early stages of his career down in the Performance Center and in NXT and stuff like that. So great to hear that as well. And very like him as well, I dare say. I was
just going to say, so much so that he's almost trying to look like him.
Yeah, he's had that much of an impact on him. He's morphing into him.
Yeah. Well, but you know what?
Yeah,
Fame will have that. Fame will have that effect on you.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but great to hear him throwing credit there and stuff like that as well. You know, as you should.
100%.
Sometimes when we
For
hear them
anyone that
talk
hasn't
about
seen
Valor
it,
like
by the
this,
way,
yeah,
I was
go
going
on.
to say for anyone that hasn't seen it, check it out on YouTube. The Seamus channel where he does the workouts. The latest one is he has Fergal on it.
Very good.
Very strange workouts, which I know by this man. He doesn't do anything orthodox, and everything is on the fly. So
Yeah.
it's well worth a watch for any of you gym goers out there. And some funny little conversations in there between two Irish lads, and yeah, I'll let you make your own decision on
Yeah, I say,
how it looks like.
I say, money didn't he? Did one with Rhea Ripley and Buddy Murphy, and it was exceptional as well. Rhea has some strength when you see her in the gym and stuff like that. He did one with them, and it was really cool as well to see.
Fergal said to Seamus, he goes, "I've asked this man many times to come on," and Fergal was like, and he goes, "He's finally here," and he goes, "Yeah, I've just declined every other time." That's the truth. In true, for anyone
It's
that
true
knows,
Fergie, right? True Balor,
yeah,
right?
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Very funny.
Yeah, we were talking in another interview with BT Sport this week. The Undertaker, the Phenom, revealed that he has closed the
Ariel.
book. Yeah, he has closed the book on the Dead Man chapter of his career for good after his retirement. And even WWE officials at the 30th anniversary of Raw were kept in the dark about his decision. When he came out, as far as I know, he came out as the American Badass, didn't he? As far as I know.
So he hasn't closed the American Badass chapter then.
It's always good to have options.
Yeah, I plead the fifth. I would plead the fifth too. He's a good Texas boy. You know what I mean?
He's getting too old now to be rolling the eyes at this stage.
100%. You know, you want to look cool at 50 odd years of age by wearing, that sleeveless flannel and rocking the old bandana and the
not
jeans.
having to work out as much and enjoy your food.
100%. 100%. He's earned that much.
Yeah, shout out to Billy Gunn this week. He was on Renee's podcast, and he let her know he's 12 years sober this week. So shout out to Billy Gunn. Looks absolutely
He looks
fantastic.
it too, doesn't he?
Yeah, he looks really, really good. He's in unbelievable shape for a guy of his age as well. So shout out to Billy Gunn. I've looked at some of his workouts with Mike O'Hearn and Gold's Gym and stuff like that. Serious lifter as well.
He's I believe he's 58 or something like that, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's due 59. Is he 59 this year? 59 this year.
Maybe, yeah. And he looks as good, if not better than ever. Like, I wouldn't say there's any help there either. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But you know what I mean. But regardless, the guy looks absolutely amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take some comments. Here we go. Back in. Remember, heel turn might be inevitable at WrestleMania. Yeah, mentioned it last week. Do you think we'll get Demon Finn? I think you got to get Demon Finn. It might not be the Demon that we seen that time against Rollins and stuff like that. Could be a darker Demon, being a Hell in the Cell and stuff like that. So let's see what happens.
I think it's inevitable. I think it's inevitable.
Absolutely. Are we talking about Fergal Devitt or Finn Balor on that topic? It's absolutely Finn Balor.
Ian, be very careful. You're talking about a friend of mine. I told you this.
This is the like Terry Bollea and Hulk Hogan are not the same person, is it?
No.
Sean's back in. It's sad to see your childhood favs retire, but Taker has nothing left to prove. Absolutely has nothing left to prove.
Yeah.
So we'll skip one there. They say that everyone has a double. Absolutely. How will WrestleMania cope without a Flow Rider concert? Don't worry, they'll work something up, Sean. This is in Hollywood. You ain't getting off that easy.
I agree. I'm a bit of a mark for Flow Rider myself, which people may or may not know, but I am.
Yeah, absolutely. Get your take on this one. An interview with PW Mania this week. Kane, as you know, he has a Legends biography thing coming out on A&E. I think it might be out this week actually already. But he was talking and he said he was pumped about removing his mask in WWE. Said the character was stale. I'm not sure about whether I fully agree with that. I think there's some characters in there that once they're masked up, it should never change, just kind of evolve.
I'm the same,
Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% the same. I think Kane just with that mask on. I mean, look, a lot came out of it for his career. Like he got See No Evil, which is a great horror movie, by the way. If anyone's never seen it,
Yeah.
um, really fantastic, one and two. So it's horses for courses kind of thing. But I think just that character, that Kane character, never needed to take a mask off. I would agree with that. Um, it was too strong a character. I know they wanted to go a different direction, but if you want to go a different direction, then don't be Kane. You know what I mean? It's like Undertaker versus American Badass. It's two completely different characters. Where as Kane was literally still the same character, just with the mask on. I get there was some good bits that like he was just completely a psychopath, and you know, I suppose he was telling the story of how whatever happened to him as a kid, he was burned and all that kind of stuff. I could see what they were trying to do there, but yeah, no, I think
Yeah, I think suppose we could open this up to the chat first of all. I suppose Sean makes a great point here. He says they could have executed the reveal way better. He just looked like a brickhead on his head. Absolutely, yeah. The reveal was absolutely shit. Let's be honest here. But let's open it up to the chat here and we get their thoughts. First of all, should he have masked or unmasked, or should he have unmasked or kept the mask? And two, what way would you have booked the reveal if you had the chance to book it?
take
Let
scores
us,
on that. Actually, take
yeah,
scores on that.
let us know. Let us know your thoughts on that. I think that the mask off fine, but don't then go back to trying to put it back on him.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I think I think your point is right as well. I think if you're a monster in there as well, you can't humanize the monster and expect to
No.
get the same effect out of it. Basically,
Well, we're
yeah,
not going to see Michael Myers without the mask. You know what I mean? You don't, and you get a
yeah,
sneak peek every now and then, but
yeah,
you don't fully see the face. Whereas when you fully
yeah.
see the face, then it's a different story. I think because when we look at Rey Mysterio when he was unmasked in WCW, it's kind of forgotten about now because the generations moved on. When he came to
Thank God,
WWE, there was a bit of a
thank
gap.
God.
100%, 100%, because he
Yeah,
looks like a 12-year-old.
yeah.
But uh, since then, you very rarely see Rey Mysterio without the mask still. So it was no,
So Ian's in anyway, and Ian is saying the unmasking was the beginning of the kind of downfall. Absolutely. And kept the mask. Yeah, he should have kept the mask. Saying yeah, absolutely. I think
yeah,
most
because it's
people
kind of
would be in agreement.
yeah, because it's kind of like when JR talked about Andre the Giant being an attraction. You know what I mean? Kane should have always been kind of an attraction like that. Didn't need to be in the title picture out like that because I mean, why is this lunatic gonna want the world title? He doesn't. He just wants to kill. You know what I mean?
Sean's
So
back in makes a great point, and obviously this will get your horror juices flowing in. Obviously, with also the other channel on the slab with yourself and Greg and Carl and Ted. I think has been appearing on it as well. So check that out, folks. On the slab,
yep,
the horror show that the boys do. Imagine Freddy Krueger emerged from the house fire with a few dabs of soot on his face. Yeah, that's
yeah,
it, isn't it?
yeah.
That's without
Spot on.
Jason
And
without a
also,
hockey mask, or
yeah,
you know.
100%. Also, I believe someone asked a question earlier to me. We skipped past it, but it was Flow Rider or Limp Bizkit. I have to answer
Oh
that.
yeah, didn't even say that. Yeah, sorry, I
Flow
missed that.
Rider every day, Sean. Flow Rider for me.
Over Limp Bizkit, really?
Ah, hell yeah. Emotionally invested.
Morris is in, just in, boys. Did you upload the Finn Martin episode yet? He's looking for the Finn Martin one we mentioned, I think, last week.
Finn Martin was gonna go up on Monday. However, Noel said we do this show tonight. So in place of tomorrow's show, the Finn Martin one will be going up tomorrow. So I can
Awesome.
announce that'll be up tomorrow midday.
He says the discussion was had in Fibbers, probably over a few beers. Good wrestling mind, Mr. Martin. Absolutely. Mr. Power Slam
100%.
himself. Great guest to
Yeah,
have on.
that'll be up on Wednesday tomorrow, Wednesday,
Awesome.
15th of June,
And
midday.
Ted's back
Irish time.
in. Of course, check out Ted's channel as well, Retrotainment as well, where he goes and looks back at classic movies and stuff like that, and they recast them and go back over and see do they stand the test of time. I would have kept the mask on, but idea for the reveal was brilliant, but just executed badly, as he didn't look like a burn victim. But I don't know how you make him look like one consistently.
Yeah,
they do it in the
100%.
movies. They do it in the movies. Ian's in Returning of Mass Kane. A load of bollocks. He wasn't happy with the return either. He got sent to flow rides over biscuit. Jesus, Ian. Morris.
100%.
Morris.
You see, I like my metal to be made by real metalheads. I mean, they're the same kind of rapper, aren't they? They're both shy, but at least Flow Rider can get you moving a little bit. You know what I mean?
And they both make very good choices in terms of dance acts. I just want to say that the quality is sublime. Acers is in. Stacey Keebler Hall of Fame will be announced on SmackDown on the Friday show. There you go. We're always ahead. Should we give you Batista last week, and you probably won't hear from him for 10 days anyway. So there you go.
Acers, are you looking at Acers on a scale of 1 to 10? Answer us this on a scale of 1 to 10. How much are you looking forward to seeing Stacey Keebler again? Are you excited? Are the juices flowing?
Absolutely. Also, let us know in the chat as well. WWE Hall of Fame 2023. Who else do you think is going to go in there? And who else would you like to see go in there? Give us your thoughts, and we'll see how track it over the next 2 weeks. Sean, in the mass reveal did humanize a little bit, but I think the transition to corporate Kane was the final nail in the coffin. Absolutely. He became a mayor and all this kind of thing. So it was hard to still be Kane. WWE had talks with Australia sports government about WWE pay-per-view in 2024. Interesting. They are looking to do a number of shows around the world and stuff like that. Obviously, very good revenue for them and stuff in those markets. Ted back in. I'll never hear a bad word against Limp Bizkit after the My Way in that Awesome versus Rock promo. Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, I like Limp Bizkit too, but I think that one is down to Kevin Kelly. Just saying.
There you go. Kane's character being a double, just absolutely crap. Absolutely shit, yeah, absolutely. I have to say though, I did like the Kane Daniel Bryan stuff. That was kind of cool when they were going to the doctor and stuff like that and all, the anger issues and all that. That was kind of a bit of fun. Detracted maybe from the mask. TP back in. Morris Wes Borland though, Ian, one of the best metal guitarists of all time, a better guitarist than Finn Balor, is a wrestler.
Well, I see what you're trying to do, you dirty culture, but the problem is that you've just put Wes Borland in as one of the best metal guitarists of all time. So to all the real guitarists out there watching this show, the joke is on you, Morris. I need to share my Spotify playlist with you, Morris, and you call yourself a metal DJ. Will you get out of town?
There you go. Acers wants the Midnight Express. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Whether they could get, I don't want them inducted unless Cornette's involved. Jimmy has to be involved, and that's where I think the stumbling block might be. The Mountie Hall of Fame.
Ian, get out of town. This motherfucker, that Rougeau is not welcome on this show any day, any time, any fucking... No, fuck the Rougeaus. There we go, YouTube. There, you finally got me. I want the Mountie.
And Acers updating us. Man City are winning 2-0 tonight in a best of 2 out of 3 falls or something.
Acers always comes in with the wrestling on the football.
Gives you that good mixed bag, doesn't he? Gives you that good mixed bag.
He's balanced. He's balanced.
Sean back in. Would be cool if Regal got inducted, and since Mania is in Philly next year, a few ECW names, including Heyman, would be sweet. Sean, we have news on that for you. That's why I was talking to you earlier that there would be ECW news on this, and I think it's a real cool idea. I'll run it by you now in a few minutes. We'll grab some of these comments and then get back on it. On that note, the Demon needs to be at Mania. Absolutely. I think everyone agrees with that. And I think once they announced Hell in a Cell, I think it's going to go that way. We're going to... Dare I say, we're gonna go down that road of probably similar, dare I say, to House of Black in AEW and stuff like that. It's going to be deep and dark, I'd imagine. Hall of Fame, I think we might see a few of the smaller old names going in now. They've put 3 big names in now already. That's usually it for the big names. Don't know. Interesting. Aim back in, down with that sort of thing, fella.
No, they're not. They're not welcome. They're not welcome. They'll never be on this here show, as you know, Noel. Especially my allegiance to the Bill and to the family. The Rougeaus will never be respected on this show, and that's just a fact.
Fair enough. And Ace was back in. Made total sense for Alter Bridge to sing both Edge and Fergal at WrestleMania.
I think we should get Shine Down back. Do you remember that? Remember that song? Devour. Yeah, they were. Yeah.
Ted Zane wants Jamie Noble for the Hall of Fame. There's a shout.
No, Jamie Noble is a good show. The next shout he gives, he's taking the piss now.
Yeah, actually, that Jamie Noble one. There's talk that there was talk a couple of weeks ago that Nydia might go in. So that's an interesting combination there, isn't it? And Maven for the Hall of Fame. There's a shout. Drop the ball they did with Maven. Sean back in. How long will the Hell in a Cell match be? Love Edge to death, but some of his matches since coming back have been way longer than they needed to be. That's probably a fair comment.
It's a comment I never thought about, actually. It's a point I never thought about. I'll have to think about that one, actually.
You mentioned it before to me, didn't you? Remember when they were wrestling each other and Judgment Day were getting involved and stuff like that and all? You said there was too much going on. That you just wanted a straight up Edge versus Balor match. I remember that on the number of shows you had said that to me. And Eno's back. He's not happy about the Mountie.
No, I think that's him saying,
I get you the connection. Yeah, absolutely. And Sean, since Ray got inducted, is there anybody current who you think should be inducted?
No, I don't think you should be inducted when you're current, unless you're of the ilk of a Rey Mysterio and you're basically there to try and pass the torch kind of thing. I think it should be your crowning moment when you retire, and that's your pat on the back and your gratitude for. But just me personally, I think it should be your your signing off moment.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting one. And Ted, thinking Maven and Nydia both for the Hall of Fame together as the first ever TE winners. Yeah, absolutely, and they're bringing it. Yeah, absolutely. And Acers, Trish versus Becky at SummerSlam is booked. I wouldn't say it's booked. I'd say it's.
Is that in your mind now, Acers, or what? Like, is that in that certain kind of bank or what?
Let's see. Hell in a Cell is normally 30 minutes minimum, excluding entrances. Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see how they assemble it as well. I can't imagine they can hang a Hell in a Cell out of that stadium. If you look at the size of it and stuff like that, unless they're going with roof closed. But we shall see. It'll be interesting.
I think I was actually just thinking that they will go with roof closed, and I think you will see a bit of shenanigans on the top of the cell. Personally,
interesting.
You know, Edge through the cage in Mick Foley fashion, and then a big coup de grace from the top of the cell. No, I don't wish that on Edge. Jeez, I'm only messing.
No wish on anyone. Morris back in. Brock should be inducted if he's out the door. Yeah, there's talk of that at the moment that he's renegotiating. I think his contract is up after WrestleMania, if I'm right. But the talk at the moment, John Jones dropped it last week post-match as well, that he mentioned Brock Lesnar and stuff like that. So is this Brock going off for a while, put in a 6 or 12-month training camp and then go up against John Jones? I think no matter what he does, I think John Jones would obliterate Brock Lesnar. Just putting it out there. But let's see what happens. Stranger things have happened in the world of UFC.
I think John Jones would obliterate most people on the planet. But I mean, I'd be rooting for Brock.
Yeah, I was kind of talking to Morris today. We were on WhatsApp, and he was talking about the Omos match. Ted mentioned it earlier, and I suppose let's have a quick chat about Brock then, because it's an interesting one. That Omos match Morris mentioned me today has shades of the Goldberg Brock match at 20, where if he's heading out the door, you know, the match we're not expecting a whole lot out of the match anyway. And I think if you're seeing Raw last night, this guy can't even put a guy out of the ring over the ropes, you know what I mean? It was an absolute shit fest. So I'm not expecting a whole lot out of it anyway. But yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting the Lesnar conundrum.
Does it lean towards that the old man is still obviously calling shots from beyond? We know he was at Raw and he was in his position in Gorilla on Monday. That's been confirmed by Ric Flair and many people. Yeah. Because Omos is definitely not a H kind of guy. H would have Omos down there literally honing his craft to see if there's a craft in there, because it's you know what I mean? It doesn't, I don't get the feeling. It's not a H Just not a H guy. It's baffling. It's baffling. And I mean, you're not putting the young kid over. I mean, Brock has no reason to put Omos over here, even if he's out the door. He's not obliged to do so in any way, shape, or form. And if that is what's being asked of him, I would, if I was Brock, I'd just walk now, unless it's a favour to the old man, because we know he loves the old man.
Or the other side of it, I suppose, if he does go off to do the UFC with John Jones, it still leaves the door open to come back in, rather than going out on a sour note. We seen it, remember, in the Rollins match at Mania. I think it was at 35 we were at it, wasn't it, in New York? And he was kicking up backstage and all, and he ended up putting that match on first as well, just to get him out of the building, because he was out of control and stuff like that. So I could see him. I could see, like, I mean, how much care was given to the match that time at 20 either as well, with Austin as the referee. I mean, Austin as the referee nearly saved it, more so than anything. Ted back in. I suppose the other side of it as well, he could be using it as a nugget to negotiate a big contract out of WWE as well, saying, well, I have this contract over here to UFC. Apparently they're offering 8 figures to fight John Jones, which is big bucks, so maybe trying to get WWE to match it. Ted back in. I think Hell in the Cell might kick off the show, then get it taken down for the rest of the show. Maybe. Not too sure though. They're pretty good and pretty slick at these things at this stage. Brock must be so rich. Absolutely. Lives on a farm, literally does nothing, and just checks coming in left, right, and centre. Acers, Dave Meltzer was saying that Vince McMahon wants Trish to cost Lita and Becky the women's tag titles after WrestleMania, setting up the Fed at SummerSlam.
Feud, I think he's trying to say feud.
Feud at SummerSlam, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know. That might be contrary to Lita's comments then of bringing a bit of credibility back to the tag division then, wouldn't it? Let's see what happens. So Sean back in. Doubt Brock will fight Jones. I think he's done. Plus, wasn't he unable to pass an USADA test? Yeah, maybe. But I suppose you'd have to drop a lot of size to go back in there fighting anyway, because he's well over 285 or whatever it is at the moment. Morris back in. The old man never left, no matter what you think. Technology. Yeah, some would say that there was still shades of it, but we seen a definite a shift change in terms of the booking and the approaches on the shows and stuff like that, which would lead you to believe he did step away somewhat. Vince McMahon is 1,000% back in creative, Acer says. And Ed is back in. How are you, Ed? Totally agree, Noel. I've never seen Brock look bad, but almost really fucked up the Irish whip. I hope that's Brock's last match if he is out the door. Interesting. And Ian back in. I just happen to be a friend of Jack Rougeau.
Ah, grand. Well, tell him a big fuck you from Ian Kelly.
Tell him Ian I was asking from. And Sean back in. Almost is young and has loads of time to improve, but he needs more work. Sean, I think the problem with Almas is we like these big guys and stuff who come in, but the problem is sometimes they come in and they're too big. Very difficult to get those guys to work. We've seen it with Calais. We've seen it with a lot of the big guys down through the years. Big Show was probably the best, but this guy Almas, I seen him standing in the ring last night, face on with Brock Lesnar. He made Brock Lesnar look like Tajiri. That's how big this guy is.
Oh, he's tiny. He's fucking massive.
Massive. And he can't. The thing about it is as well, when you see him in the ring as well, he's quite stationary and statuesque as well. He doesn't move naturally. You know what I mean? Brock was originally offered Wyatt, and he said he didn't want to work with him. That's fair enough. And we're hearing stories today that Bray Wyatt walked out. Hasn't been confirmed yet, but we'll see what is said. Brock will be in King of the Show.
Saudi.
Let's see what that happens. And Ian's back in. Could be right about Hell in a Cell being the first match. I'm not too sure whether that's what they kick it off with, because they'd be raising the bar there right from the outset for everything to follow it, Strong Enoch Burke vibes from Vince. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that mustache, my God. Was meant to say, I hope it's not. Yeah, absolutely. I knew what you meant, Ed. Absolutely. And what did he do to you, Ian? Strong stuff there. Strong stuff.
Who is he talking about?
I presume he's talking about your loyalty to Dynamite and your lack of loyalty to Jacques Rougeau. I presume he would be.
Oh no, I don't wish. Just let for the record, I would wish no ill will on Jacques Rougeau. I just think what they done was pussy pussy move, and in the recent years following it, if you can go back in our back catalogue here, which you can actually watch, you'll see I had Brahman, his daughter, on many a time, and the whole Dark Side of the Ring came across just as a little rat, and not very genuine, put it that way. A man was in a wheelchair after that, regardless of incidents that happened. If there was penance to be paid, let's say, that's it, isn't it? And just get on with your life, and so no, I've no love for the Rougeau brothers, but again, at the same time, I don't have any will on any human being. I don't want anything to happen to them. I don't wish unfortunate events on anybody. That's just the way I am. It's simple.
Yeah, Ace was telling us Cody's promo was class last night, and that leads us into a nice one on Fox Sports, Out of Character with Ryan Satin. Cody was on the show, and he was talking about a number of things in relation to the American dream and the time that he needed off, obviously, when Dusty had passed away. God bless his soul, of course, Dusty Rhodes. But he was talking about how he had a conversation with, there's a number of things they didn't see eye to eye on. And he said one of them was when he moved into the tights, the old man told him that tights were for jobbers, that trunks was where it's at. And Cody says he could never see himself moving back into the trunks, which was an interesting one. No. He also made the point about the path that he took, obviously, when he left WWE and got involved with the Elite and promoted those shows, and it all arrived at AEW, basically, as we know it today. He said that Dad would not have approved of the pathway he took in leaving WWE and coming back. Said that wouldn't have sat well with his dad either. His dad was definitely a genuine company man as well. So it was an interesting interview, and one that people should check out on that Out of Character with Ryan Satin. Very interesting. And the other one, just I'll leave you with this last one before we get into the history. Mike Chioda, obviously referee, excellent referee, was giving people an insight. In my opinion. Yeah, it was giving an insight into what's involved in being a referee in these matches and stuff like that and all. And he was saying that he's responsible. He said on the latest episode of his podcast, Mailbag Monday, he says you have to know the match inside out, he said. And he said you have to know what the false finishes are, the heat spots, time cues, how much time they want before they go on break, how much time they want going off the air to a go-home cue, but also be ready if things don't go to plan. It's a lot that they take on. It's not an easy job. It's high-level training and stuff like that. And, of course, shout out to friend of the show, Niall Foxy from OTT, who always does a stellar job refereeing as well and always talks to me a lot about, gives me a great insight into refereeing and stuff like that and what's involved. And, with Foxy, he does whole shows. He's out there nearly all night, so puts in a serious shift doing it. Yep. That's everything. That's everything I kind of have in news articles. Not much else to talk about. I do have a little bit of pro wrestling history there and some notable birthdays. If you want me to shoot down through them, I'll take a couple of comments real quickly first. Watch Mania 18 last night, Sean says, it's only now I realised that 2 nights is so much better. Absolutely. I think everyone agrees Mania has to be a 2-night. And I was at 35, and if Mania was still 1 night, I wouldn't be going to it. It was horrific to get through it. Azard would absolutely love to see Dangerous Alliance, including Paul Heyman. Big, great phone. Absolutely. And now that you mention that as well, just for you, Sean, as well, the talk going around at the moment is that the Hall of Fame next year in Philadelphia is going to include a branch of the ECW originals. So it looks like a bunch of those guys, ECW originals, are going to go into the Hall of Fame next year in Philadelphia, where it should happen. Absolutely. So interesting on that. Acer's back in as well. City 3-0 up from you football fans who want to know. And Ted's back in. Are we going to see Dominic versus Conan after Dominic interrupts the Hall of Fame induction? But I've said Ray, but he has said he will never wrestle against Dominic. That match is happening. That match is happening at Mania. Absolutely. You never know. You might see Conan in the corner there. That would be
I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
I was a big Conan fan. One of, believe it or not, because I couldn't use the sharpshooter for obvious reasons, being the Bret Hart mark I was, one of the potential submissions that I was going to use as a worker back in the day was going to be the Tequila Sunrise. I always loved that move.
Yeah, absolutely. And Eno saying, looking forward to the Dusty Rhodes shirt for WrestleMania weekend. Absolutely. We got some cool Dusty Rhodes shirts in last
Shout,
week. And one has gone off.
100%. And you know, if you're a figure collector, check it out. The latest Dusty Rhodes figure with the polka dots are actually available.
Class.
For purchase. They're in, I think they're in Smiths and in Toymaster, in Bamba Toymaster and Henry Street. Cheap plug for them. I don't know why, but there you go.
There you go. And Dar's back in. Haku or the Will Simones for the Hall of Fame. Yeah, great show. Haku met him at Rainy 24. Lovely man, but a scary man.
Fucking
and
scary.
Ted's back in. You want to see this guy. Foxy, former AEW alumni. Yeah, there you go. And Acers. Scapamania on this Saturday night. Scrapamania, yeah, absolutely. I think they're doing a show. I think OTT, they're doing a show in Wolverhampton on the Friday on Paddy's Day as well. And then they've Scrapamania Saturday and Sunday. One of the guys I'm a huge fan on, Davey Richards, is due over. If you haven't seen Davey Richards wrestling in real life, go see him. Outstanding.
Speaking of Dynamite Kid, huh?
There you go. And Sean, if Dynamite Kid and Chris Benoit had a baby, it would be Davey Richards. There 100%. You go. And Sean, that sounds amazing. Who do you think they'd induct? The talk's on. I mean, the originals, whoever the originals are. I mean, what are you talking about? Sandman, Sabu, Raven, I would imagine. If they've parked that whole concussion stuff that was going on, that legality stuff that was going on, and stuff like that. I don't know. He was heading that up, wasn't he? Those lawsuit things or something like that. So we'll see, but it'll all unfold over the next year. But a great location for WrestleMania, the new Eagles Stadium, and of course it's in Philadelphia, so you got to put that ECW style on it, don't you?
It's always sunny in Philadelphia.
WrestleMania 4 worth a watch, absolutely. All the WrestleMania.
Seen it a million times, Seen it a million times. Great pay-per-view, yeah.
Acers reckons it's Ray retirement match at WrestleMania. Could be. That's how it could evolve. And Morris back in. Great Khali has a better win ratio on TV than Finn Balor. I want to check that out.
Good Lord, Morris. God bless you ever asking me for the favour to get Fergal on the show when he retires. I mean, I'll tell him to steer clear of this lad. Noel's taking screenshots as we fucking as well.
These are live shows, lads. These are enshrined in history. You can't escape these. And Ted's back. It's Taboo, Sandman, Heyman. Yeah, absolutely. And God, who knows? Would they dare go New Jack as well? Tommy Dreamer, yeah, Acers Tommy Dreamer, absolutely. And Ted mentioned it, yeah, Dreamer. Ed back in. I threw on Michaels versus Y2J at Mania 19 today. Still the best Mania match ever, in my opinion. Jericho was just brilliant. Good shout.
That was a very, very underrated match.
Yeah. And Sean, pity we're not getting Mox for Scrapper Mania. He was set to wrestle Trent 7 and Big Damo over Scrapper. Now he's teaming with Claudio against Big Bill and Lee Moriarty at a house show in Ohio. Yeah, absolutely. That's the risk of what happens. And Eno wants a Dynamos Dozen FC. He's trying to get this football podcast league going. So he has the upper tier FC, Dynamos Dozen FC. It's an interesting thing we might do maybe down the line for charity or something like that. It'd be good fun.
Well, there we go, Eno. Who would you play for, Eno? Who would Eno play for? Would he play for you, or would he come play for me? We get the two Ians.
Definitely play for you. Wrestling would definitely outweigh football for him. I'd say Dynamos Dozen would be where he's at. Right. Morris, Mania 19 is the best in my opinion. Not a bad shout either. Mox for OTT twice failed. Yeah, absolutely. It's just this is what happens. And then Acers, Eddie Kingston on OTT this weekend as well. Yeah, and Davey Richards and Santino Marella. Decent lineup there this weekend for them. Right, let's get into the history here, lads.
Yeah. My favorite Mania of all time is WrestleMania 10. MSG. Right. Lex Luger almost made it.
Absolutely. Right, let's get into the history. 2004, lot of sort of WrestleMania and Hall of Fame stuff entangled in this, so we go down through it. 2004, WWE held their first Hall of Fame ceremony since 1996 at the Hilton Hotel in New York City the night before Mania 20. The induction class included, they blew it out of the water here, didn't think about it. This was Bobby Heenan, Jesse Ventura, Big John Studd, Don Morocco, Harley Race, Tito Santana, Superstar Billy Graham, the Junkyard Dog, and Sergeant Slaughter, Greg Valentine, and Pete Rose. That's a heck of a class. that's equivalent these days to 2 or 3 years Hall of Fames. But that was massive. But I suppose when they relaunched it, they wanted to blow it out of the water. 2007 WWE Hall of Famer Arnold Scaland passed away aged 82 in White Plains, New York. And of course, 2009 this week, Andrew Test Martin, who was best known for his time in WWE, of course, as Test, passed away at the age of 33 in Tampa, Florida. And I think if you check out Kevin Nash's podcast this week, he was talking about it, that there was a couple of interventions there, but it just didn't work. Sad to lose Test. Phenomenal. And I think he actually passed away 2 weeks before he was due to come over here for an AWR tour for Joe at the time and stuff like that. So would have been horrific if he had passed away over here, but very sad to lose him. Great guy, super talent, and great look and everything. 2017, former pro wrestler Dennis Stamp. You'd remember Dennis Stamp being the man who refereed Terry Funk and Bret Hart's match that time. Remember Beyond the Mat and all that. Died of cancer at the age of 71. Many younger fans will know Stamp best for his role as the special referee in Terry Funk's 1997 retirement match against Bret Hart that was spotlighted in the Beyond the Mat documentary. And I think it was on another documentary.
Jumping up and down on his trampoline, saying he was ready for his shot.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I remember the documentary. He follows Terry around. He pesters Terry Funk to be involved in the match and all, and Terry wanted him on it and all. It was kind of a cool documentary, 2020, the first edition of WWE SmackDown in the WWE Performance Center in Orlando took place as the world entered into the CV-19 pandemic.
Oh, please don't bring that back up. Fuck.
It's all history.
3 years lost in my life.
Do you know, but what we do have to say though, shout out to WWE. They never let us down and give us content even during lockdown. One of few 100%. That did it.
We saw WrestleMania during lockdown, for Christ's sakes.
2004, WrestleMania 20 was held in the iconic Madison Square Garden, New York. That was this week. The pay-per-view was 4.5 hours long and had 20,000 fans in the arena, with 885,000 more watching on pay-per-view. That the pay-per-view, I presume, would be the American audience only, not worldwide. 2005, for the first time since December 1991, Shawn Michaels teamed up with Marty Jannetty to bring the Rockers back together. The one-off match on Monday Night Raw saw the duo defeat La Resistance, Sylvain Grenier, and Rob Conway. I always was a fan of Rob Conway. Remember he came out down doing that kind of biker guy as well. That was kind of cool. And featured a number of classic rocker spots. How could we forget it? 2005. 1999 on WCW Nitro, Rey Mysterio Jr. pins Billy Kidman to become the new WCW Cruiserweight Champion. Had to put that in there with the Hall of Fame announcement. Think about it, 1999, 24 years ago. Mad. Yep. Sorry, not 24. Yeah, 24 years ago. Yeah, spot on. 1993, 6 days after losing the WCW World Heavyweight Championship to Sting in London. We mentioned this on last week's history. Big Van Vader regained the title at an event in no less Dublin, Ireland. So I had to put that in there. Won the belt back off Sting in Dublin, Ireland. Remember those WCW shows?
Were you at that?
I wasn't, and I'm sorry now that I wasn't, because it sounded like it was class.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah,
me neither. Yeah, I missed out on 2 wrestling shows that year, actually, unfortunately.
Yeah, and of course, one that was just mentioned there in the comments, 2002 this week, WrestleMania 18 took place in front of 68,237 fans at the Sky Dome in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. What a mania was. Hogan versus Rock was electric.
Can I just say, by the way, I see in the comments.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to say quickly, people have asked me this as well. Being honest, just for nostalgia, my favorite WrestleMania of all time is still WrestleMania 6, because they're the moments that stay with you when you're a certain age, and that was my favorite. Mania for that reason. I'm not saying that the matches were as good as 18 or anything, but I think what the younger guys in the comments here probably don't realize is that that was their moment at a certain age. That was my moment at a really young age, and the way it was marketed and billed. It was without a shadow of a doubt my favorite Mania, which is strange because you know the Heart Foundation only had about a 10-second match. So there you go.
There you go. We'll take a few comments and then we'll finish off with notable birthdays. Ian, too much love and respect for the Rhodes family. Yeah,
100%.
absolutely. And Sean's in there. And Acer's WrestleMania 17 is totally the greatest ever. It's certainly up there. WrestleMania 30, the greatest Mania. WrestleMania 30. Interesting show, Ted. Talking Hall of Fame. We forgot the celebrity wing. It's got to be Arnie, doesn't it? The talk, as far as I know, Ted, is they're talking Cyndi Lauper, aren't they? That's what I've been.
Yeah, he says it next. He says it next.
Oh yeah, actually, Arnie already in. So maybe there you go. Maybe Cyndi Lauper. There you go. Me getting ahead of myself.
Now, and you know how much I love Cyndi Lauper, so I'm all for that. I'm all
how much
about
I love
that
Arnie. How much I love Arnie.
Yeah, but I love Arnie too. But we've already got Arnie.
And sadly, I'm super nostalgic for Mania 27. Sean, tell us why. Tell us what's nostalgia about it. Give us a breakdown. Tell us why you like it as well.
Don't have to be sad. Doesn't have to be sad.
My friend, notable birthdays this week where it was an interesting one. First of all, we start 1992, Shotzi Blackheart. It's her birthday this week. Of course, Mr. OTT this week, Santino Marella, 1974. Most wrestling
years old.
Yeah, and he's here this week performing with OTT. And of course, everyone's new hero, MJF, 1996. A man who we've had on the podcast, 1964, the one Adam Bomb, Brian Clark, has been on the podcast. I think he's been on Morris's one as well. Great guest, went into great detail of his time back in wrestling and stuff like that. And how could we forget the man, 1943, the Iron Sheik, Sheiky Baby, celebrates his birthday this week. Super to see it.
Man.
If I mentioned 1990 and a man not too far from where I'm sitting now, a friend of the show and a man who I've seen go from a child to a wrestler and to a fantastic performer in front of our eyes over the last, say, 20 years. One Jordan Devlin celebrates his birthday this week, 1990. 1990, I was doing my leaving cert. There you go.
Love you, Jordan. Love you, Jordan.
Happy birthday out to J.D. McDonough. And of course, 1987, Brody King. And 1979, the Samoan Bulldozer, Samoa Joe. Unbelievable. Super. And of course, with sadness, we bring you this as well. Not only did the man pass this week, but also it was his birthday this week. 1975 Test celebrates both his birthday. We've had a few of them, I think, on the show now. People who have passed in their birthday week, which is an interesting one. And of course, shout out to Mr. NWA himself and TNA, 1967, Billy Corgan.
Love it.
So there you go. That rounds out our birthdays for this week. Take a few more.
Let's get the final comments. Get them in, lads, because we're finishing up.
Let's see. Acers comes in. WrestleMania 27 was absolutely the worst ever. Amazing. It's amazing the dynamic you get in this, isn't it? Like they go from that. Ted back in. 30 for me is because I went to it live, but it had DB winning the title and obviously Taker streak ending. Yeah, interesting. I wouldn't say too many Taker fans would rate that as the best Mania ever. Sean, it was my childhood Mania, but it was a shite Mania. Also loved Rock and Cena, but not enough to see it again the year after. And Aces, the Irish Ace, Jordan Devlin, absolutely. The import killer, Sean calls him, absolutely. It's his birthday this week. And of course, Ted back in. You didn't start with Sheiky Baby's birthday. Hey, fuck you in the ass and make you humble jabroni. Absolutely. And Ian, Mike McGurk Hall of Fame. Mike McGurk Hall of Fame.
I don't think that's happening.
I wouldn't have thought
ask Ask Morris. He has her in speed dial.
Absolutely. That's it, my friend. Another show in the bag. Um, we're still on the road to
Fantastic.
WrestleMania. We're still watching the Hall of Fame evolve. Don't know about you. I get nearly as excited about the Hall of Fame as I do nearly about about Mania itself. You know, Sean's in here.
Usually,
Here's a good one. You've been hanging out in town recently in Baldy McDonough for the Hall of Fame near Lounge
Baldy.
AD.
You know, that motherfucker called me out on a call out video before because, you know, he just does it anyway. And called me out many years ago and said he was going to do wheel spins on my head. So, absolutely. Get him into the Hall of Fame. Jeannie Clark. I'm not familiar with who that is. Jeannie Clark.
We'll see. It'll
Well,
keep on evolving. It'll keep on evolving.
Next week, tune in at the same bat time, at the same bat channel next week to find out who Jeannie McClark is, because Ian is going to fucking tell us.
Same time, but probably a different day.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Sean, we promise we won't be 24 hours early in future.
Exactly. Ed knows.
As some boy always Baldy. Love saying them throw jabs.
He's something. Let's just say that. With all due respect.
They broke the mold.
They make them in Ireland. Trust me. You know, for every Finn Balor and Irish ace, there's a Baldy. So and I think that's the perfect way to end the show. For me, Ian the Dynamo Kelly, for Niall the Shopkeeper Hogan, for Manchester City at 4-0. We are over and out.
Cheers, folks.